Okay, good afternoon, everyone. And we're going to do a lightning round today about CoreValue's very sophisticated but easy to use biz dev tools. And I'm going to shine the light on some capabilities that a lot of our partners are using out there to generate. Well, we'll walk through how they're using it in the market, but we have some, especially our enterprise customers like Mass Mutual using our tools. LX Council using our tools to move people through the buyer's journey. And what CoreValue brings to the table is different than what our competitors bring. And our competitors mean well, okay? They do offer a solid outbound marketing kit. But what do we need? You know, what the problem with an outbound marketing kit is that it's one size fits all. And are all of your clients the same? Are all of them at the same point in their buyer's journey? I'd ask you to ask yourself that question and ask yourself if a one-size-fits-all program is best suited to your practice, because your time is precious. And you only want to talk to folks who want to talk with you, right? You want them to put their hands up and say, yeah, I'd like to discuss X, Y, or Z with you. I'd like to discuss bringing your expertise into my business. Now, we're all used to thinking in terms of life cycle stages, right? When we're running our biz dev, our marketing programs, we think in terms of MQLs and SQLs and opportunities, and then we turn them into clients. But that's not the way buyers see it, right? Our potential clients or our current clients see it. They see it as creating awareness. I may need help with my strategic execution, my vision, my mission, sales and marketing. Then they say, well, what can I do to get that help? And then they make a decision, and you want to meet them where they are. And that's what CoreValue helps you do, right? We take people, we help you take folks from being unaware, from being strangers, to starting to educate them about having a problem, planning on doing something about the problem, taking action on that plan, becoming a client, and ultimately becoming an advocate, an evangelist, someone who is referring clients to you, giving you testimonials, et cetera. That's where you want to be, right? Because you have divided, most of you, your clients and prospects into two groups: the people with whom you want to work, and that could be a niche. Let's say you work with light manufacturing companies, you work with medical practices, you work with construction companies, right? And others. And just because someone has the word CEO after their name does not mean that they're your ideal client. And they're in a hierarchy. You have target strangers. Hey, that person is a CEO of a manufacturing company, but I don't know them. Then you have people who are in your sphere. And we're going to talk about these folks here, people who have some level of familiarity and therefore trust in you, okay? So let's talk through people who are contemplating, people who are planning on taking action, they're sold, and they're advocates. Always good opportunities to connect with them. And we need to connect in a way that educates our client, that shows that we're relevant, right? Because what you want is to throw a dart that hits your client where they are in their journey, and importantly, critically, hits their exact pain point. And you can use the technology that CoreValue delivers to do that. That's called inbound. And inbound is a philosophy for marketing that is very different than an outbound Machine Gun Kelly email mentality, okay? Outbound is what others do. Inbound is what you should be doing. So if we turn to our friends at HubSpot to talk about what is outbound, very quickly, outbound marketing is a traditional method of marketing that pushes messaging to potential customers. It's costly, and the ROI is lower than inbound. Outbound is costly and has a low ROI and leads to a lot of frustration. I know two of you on this call have experienced this frustration yourselves. What CoreValue helps you power is an inbound high ROI process that has a proven record of success, because you're going to where your clients are. Now, if you think about your inbox, your email inbox, and I love this picture, this is what it looks like, right? Your marketing message, your outreach is one of these arrows. It may hit the mark, it may not hit the mark. Here's spam right down here in the grass, missing completely. Is this your outbound marketing? Are you just lobbing arrows at people regardless of where they are on the journey? giving them the same content, the same resources, the same white papers. What you need is a very focused, targeted approach. And that's what CoreValue can help you do. So how do we take folks who are unaware? How do we educate them that they might have a problem? Because we know from the data that essentially every company has bottlenecks to growth, bottlenecks to transferable value. And we know that you are the potential solution, right? You have the expertise to help redesign a client business, to get them to break through those bottlenecks, contemplating, planning to take action. This is all an awareness, and this is the result of you moving people in a measured way through the buyer's journey. By the way, people can jump from unaware to sold in a single meeting, but we want to make sure we understand where they are and meet them where they are. Now, CoreValue has a suite of analysis tools, and we're going to talk about each of these in turn. All of these are included in your CoreValue subscription. If you have a Starter Pro account, you have Business Scan and Discover. If you have a Growth Consultant Unlimited account, you also have the Deep Dive Analysis and Executable Growth Plan, right? We're going to go through Business Scan, Discover, we're going to look at the deep dive analysis, and we're going to talk about analytics, because a lot of people aren't aware of what analytics can bring to you, the incredible power it brings to the table. So let's start with people who are unaware or people who are just starting to get awareness. These are people who are above the line. I want to specifically, and you specifically should go to the people where you're most likely to have success. And those are going to be people who know you, where there's already some level of trust, where you have some brand with them, right? So how do we take cold leads and turn them into warm leads? And if you think about the stack of business cards, I have one on my desk here, the stack of business cards, you have the contacts you've made, the people who have interacted with your content but haven't gone anywhere. What are we going to do with those people who know exactly who you are and what you do? How do we move them forward? How do we start educating them that they may have an issue, and that you are the person who can help them solve that issue? And the answer is Business Scan. Okay, Business Scan is a very high level, light analysis. Okay, we developed this for one of our enterprise customers who is crushing it using this tool. Okay, so we're going to ask them, why are you at the table? What industry are you in? What's your range of revenue? This has a very high pull-through rate. Okay. And then we run them through 6 questions and generate a high-level report that gives them a range of value, a range of potential value. Now we're starting to educate them that maybe all isn't well in paradise, right? That there are bottlenecks in their business that are detracting from the shareholder value of their business. All right, we've started the conversation. We're creating awareness. That's terrific. It's very different than what our competitors are offering. They offer a score, which is somewhat helpful. We'll leave it there. Now, I'm going to put the cart ahead of the horse a little bit here. Let's talk about Discover. I think many of you are familiar with it. It is the most often used analysis tool. Think of Discover as, well, let's look at Discover in detail, shall we? It's an initial analysis that asks one question on each of the 18 growth and equity value drivers that make up the CoreValue methodology. It's been used successfully over 40,000 times. You can email it embedded in landing pages. We'll walk through the use cases for Discover in a sec. Used at the right point, it has a tremendous conversion from prospect to client. The conversion rate from prospect to client is one of the things that drives the loyalty our customers have. And as we often say, if you use CoreValue Discover in every single discovery conversation, only good will happen. And the data's in on this, guys. We'll look at that in a sec. So what does Discover tell you? After a 10-minute analysis, we're now having the right conversation with our client. We're talking to them about, hey, your business could be worth $4.5 million, but based on your company's specific risks for the valuators out there, based on company's specific risk, after completing due diligence, a buyer would discount your 4.5 to 3.25. All right. That means you have a value gap of $900 to $1.6 million. Okay. Sit up and take notice, CEO. This is the funding for your family's wealth. You're leading a conversation about the top 3 bottlenecks to growth and to equity value, right? You're benchmarking them against their competitors. You're giving them an M&A confidence index, identifying red flag existential threats to the company. You're having the right conversation. This provides a script for delivering value in that very first meeting. All right. So if we think about the CEO's experience getting this, and by the way, those of you on the call who have done this, I have certainly done this a lot. It is a very unique conversation that most CEOs have never had before. This comprehensive, here's what your company looks like from an acquirer's, from the market's perspective. All right. Now, we're going to get into using that as a closing tool in a sec. Let's talk a little higher up the funnel, creating awareness, connecting your expertise to CEO issues. Discover workshop marketing event. Think about going to a center of influence, a CPA firm, a bank, a law firm, a peer group, and using Discover with a group of CEOs. We did one of these in Philadelphia here that had 25 CEOs came. After the workshop, 22 of 25 put their hand up and said, yeah, I'd like to learn more. I'd like to have a consultation. That is representative of the types of the strength, the power of this conversation. So now you're converting leads into prospects. Okay, you're moving people forward. You're creating awareness because they have that Discover report in their inbox. They've also heard you talk through what's in the report, why it's relevant to them. All right. Now I'm going to pause for a sec. John, I see you have your hand up. David, yes, it is very similar to Explore, but rewritten. John, I'm trying to answer your question here. So, hey, John, if you can type it into the chat box, that'd be helpful. I'll keep the round going while John does that. So, groups of CEOs. This is what we do with peer groups. This is, and we'll look at that in a sec. I've done these to Vistage groups. Companies like LX Council have deployed this widely. We have Vistage speakers deploying these workshops. Investment banks, CPA firms, management consultants. These are terrific workshops, guys, where everyone leaves with value, okay? So there's another way to use Discover. Now, the highest and best use of Discover is when we're moving people into plan and taking action. And if you think about the conversation you will have had with them, all right, here are the bottlenecks to growth, the value. Here's the value of your company now. Here's what it could be worth. This is value that you've created that you can't monetize. Here is how your business processes are contributing to that value gap, or your lack of business processes or weakness in your business processes is contributing to that value gap. That conversation, when you sit down one-on-one with a CEO, is a closer. And those of you who have experienced it know you got to do your job, right? It isn't magic, but if you use this the way it's designed to be used, get a little practice under your belt, you are going to win engagements. Okay. No bad can come from using Discover. We don't make any money incrementally. This is Discover is incredibly powerful. Now, what's one of the number one problem that we see with CEOs, with their teams? It's leadership alignment, right? You can use Discover. Imagine now you've run Discover with the CEO and you say, well, that's great, Madam CEO. What does the rest of your team think? How do you think they view the company? How would they go through the same process you just went through? And you can sell a workshop. There's a paid engagement in which you run Discover. And this is actually what I'm showing you here is this is an actual alignment report. from an actual client, names removed. Look at how different this is. Here's how the CEO sees the company, the CFO, the COO, the VP of sales, and the VP of support. And by the way, there's a lot of lack of alignment, especially here. Okay. Now you put them all through Discover. You let us put together this report for you, and you can sit down and lead a workshop in which you talk about, here's how you guys, here's where you're aligned, and here's where you're not aligned. And this is simply an outtake. This is a multi-page report. Well, this is a paid engagement. Now you're really connecting your expertise to the client. It's an easy engagement for them to bite off on. Okay. They get real value. And once we have the senior team in a conversation about where they are, where the company is really, where is the company, is the CEO viewing the world through rose-colored glasses? That is a fascinating workshop. Imagine now your relevance to this client. Imagine whether or not, ask yourself, am I going to have a one bite at the apple here, or am I going to be asked in to develop a deeper understanding of the business? And you can jump from the Discover initial analysis in your closing meeting. You can decide to do an alignment workshop. You can move, traditionally, people move straight into the ask is for the deep dive analysis. And the deep dive analysis and executable growth plan, most people view it as a work, a place where they're going to work with a client. That's great. And you can run this analysis. You're going to use it for creating, exit plans, growth plans, strategic planning, operational value report. I mean, any one of a number of deliverables. Here's the thing. Inside the deep dive analysis and executable growth plan, there are 241 pain points. And those become opportunities for you to guide the client from their status quo to where they want to be. Those become 241 workshop, engagement, referral opportunities, because these are the areas where the client needs to focus time and treasure if they want to create a company that has predictable cash flow, growth, and that their growth is connected to the value of the business. Okay. So there's a lot of biz dev that comes out of the deep dive analysis. So what are we helping you do? So CoreValue's tools help you from unaware. You can use BizScan. You can use it with existing clients, use Discover with existing clients, move them into contemplating. You're creating awareness about their operational processes and the impact that's having on their growth, on their shareholder value, starting to plan to take action, taking action, sold, and becoming an evangelist, and referring clients to you, giving you killer testimonials. Okay. Now, that's not all. Because now that you're using CoreValue with this broad base of clients, and by the way, it doesn't have to be hundreds. You're generating data. And that analytics tab I showed earlier is your access to this data. And I'm going to share with you the data from LX Council. We're interviewing their founder, Tina Corner-Stultz, next week. That's being done by webinar. Feel free to sign up. It's on the website. What do we know? What does she know 1 year in about her install base? And I have permission to share this. They can say to the market that the data's in. CEOs and their stakeholders get a huge ROI from participating in LX Council's services. Now, this happens to be mastermind groups, but imagine that you're a CPA business advisor. Imagine that you're a management consultant, a growth advisor, an exit planner, okay? Think about how relevant this is to you. They get a huge ROI from buying your services. And that by using your services, these companies are more valuable, easier to run, and have fewer red flag threats than their peers. And this is quantified, right? This is in the data. So this happens to be our report to LX Council. This could be our report to you. After only 1 year, these companies are better positioned for M&A, meaning they're more likely to successfully complete due diligence, and statistically more likely to outperform their competition. And the types of data that's in here, guys, I'm just giving you some snapshots. This is a lightning round, but this data in analytics allows LX Council to say, hey, listen, we're outperforming the universe. We're 90% business confidence index, over 50%, 90% of our companies compared to 76. LX clients, your clients, are more likely to generate predictable profits and growth. Now, what else can we do with this? We can start looking at the impact we're having on value, the impact you're having on growth. CEOs participating in your services generate revenue that is above the middle market average, have businesses that have become easier to run, meaning they have better processes in place, guided by the core value methodology, and are able to convert more of their business value into cash when they retire. Now we've completed Discover. We're saying that to the market. That can be out at the front end of your funnel, right? Now, those are the emails that should be going out, right? These are quantified issues. What else do we know? Now imagine if you could architect your entire marketing plan around quantified issues. So here again are the top contributors to the value gap. These are averages, right? So the average, the number one contributor to the value gap of the companies in the LX Council world is sales and marketing. By the way, that's the number one contributor for companies generally, average of $300,000. By the way, the companies in this data set are right in the middle of the middle market, 10 million plus average gross revenues, right? Very representative of your typical client. We're going to use this information to bring in speakers, keynotes, to put on webinars, to target specific individual clients, to target communities of clients, saying, hey, we know you have a problem with sales and marketing. Why don't you come and listen to marketing guru Christine Hollenden on these issues? You can prepare ebooks, blog posts, white papers. Think about the power of targeting your marketing, your sales efforts at quantified client problems. Okay. And when you're talking to manufacturing companies and you're able to say, well, here's our experience with manufacturing companies. Here's what it looks like. Here's how we help. Here's why we are relevant to you. You're going to be moving people. You're starting to educate them into the buyer's journey, right? This stuff is directly relevant to your clients and to the community of clients and prospects. So if you're trying to bring people through the buyer's journey, expand your services with existing clients, turn them into evangelists, start driving results, imagine the power of these very sophisticated yet easy to use tools on your efforts, right? We got to do better than outbound. We got to do better than one size fits all. Now, I've just described marketing, and it's a lot. We'll help you. We'll coach you one-on-one on how to integrate this into your practice. There are a lot of marketing assets in the knowledge base, but what would you do with a turnkey professionally managed marketing program? If that would be interesting to you, stay tuned. It's one of the topics we're going to cover at the Growth Summit this May down in Charleston, South Carolina, and registration's open. You can get more information at CoreValueForAdvisors.com. Imagine having the tools I've just described embedded in a HubSpot hosted platform at a very cost-effective rate. I'm not trying we're not selling that today. Just imagine what that would look like. So I see that there are some questions, and so I'm going to hammer through them, and then I'll unmute you. So we have John Foster, no question, false alarm. Okay, is the alignment report in the system somewhere? It is not, Steve. What you would do is you're going to run Discover with the CEO, with their senior leadership team, right? And then you're going to email us and say, hey, here are the names of the people, and then we will prepare the report for you. There's a nominal charge, but we will prepare the report for you. Jack Heil, is the alignment reporting available? It is, Jack. You have Discover. you can create alignment reports. I'd be happy to discuss. Bonnie, yes, I will send the recording. Happy to. Other questions, guys? We just covered a lot of ground. Business scan, discover workshop, marketing events, alignment reports, getting engagement opportunities out of the deep dive analysis. John Foster, is there a tool to take results of the deep dive into an executable growth plan that is in essence a project management tool? John, there is not. We don't have a project management tool. I recommend Monday.com or Asana. I prefer to work with Asana. Perry, will the May Growth Summit be virtual? Perry, by popular demand, it is live. It is live bodies, shaking hands, raising a glass, learning together in South Carolina. And I'd be happy to explain why, but there's a lot of Zoom exhaustion out there. Can you say a bit more about how BizScan is working for others? I'd be glad to, Steve. So BizScan comes out of, when you ask, Discover asks some very pointed questions. I want to know your industry, your gross revenues, your net income. You know, those are great at the closing table because now you've established enough trust. Earlier in the buyer's journey, we really want to talk about ranges, right? Range, you know, do you have 1 to 5 employees? Do you have $1 million to 5 million? You know, let's talk in terms of ranges, and you're going to get a range of value. It's a very light tool. It is working very, very well for others. To which I would add that, again, machine gun Kellying it out into the universe is something you can do. It's a URL. However, much better to send it on an individual basis to people who are out at the, you know, creating awareness level. Those business cards on the corner of your desk where you're trying to rekindle the conversation, it is working spectacularly for that application. Okay, hope that answered your question. Additional questions? Okay, it might be helpful to have the community address how they are taking growth plan results and using Asana to architect a Gantt chart or waterfall for a client to use and for us to maintain accountability. Couldn't agree with you more, John. That is something that we cover in the we cover the concepts in the Growth Drive launch course, our sister company Growth Drive, and it covered in detail in the Growth Drive specialist certification course. And I'd be glad to have this conversation one-on-one with you. In fact, I think that'd be a wonderful webinar. Other questions, please. I'm happy to help. You're very welcome, John. Okay, guys. One more chance. Additional questions? Well, let's talk about next steps. So we work with businesses, we work with consultants and advisors where we know that you're going to be able to get a great ROI from using CoreValue. And for you and we to make an informed decision, you should have a consultation. Let's learn a bit about your practice. You can learn the details and get your open questions answered about CoreValue. And to set up a consultation is very easy. You can just email Sarah at corevalueforadvisors.com, and she'll make the arrangements and we'll set up a time to talk. With that, I'm going to answer this one last question and we'll wrap it up. So Steve Duke asked, how useful for a general due diligence is the deep dive? And the deep dive is used routinely by investment bankers, Steve, to get a sense of where a client is. It's not a due diligence tool. Think of it as a pre-due diligence audit. All right, what does the client have and what don't they have? And how much of a heavy lift is this company really ready to go to market? Let's get a feeling for what they're, ballpark for what they're worth. How would we position the company, et cetera? The deep dive is incredibly well suited for doing that. And in fact, it's used that way regularly. It's used to underpin opinions of value, et cetera. So very useful, Steve, to answer your question. Okay, if that was the last question, guys, I'm going to say thank you very much. We kept it at 30 minutes. I'd be happy to answer questions. So you know how to reach me. You can email Sarah at CoreValueForAdvisors.com. Thank you very much, and I hope you have a great day. Goodbye now.